Hello, mysterious person behind the screen, and a happy Halloween to you all. Yep, it's that time of year again, the spookiest time of the year, the most wonderful time of the year. And this year for Halloween, I thought it would be fun to pay a visit to Crystal Lake, Haddonfield, and Elm Street, and rank all of the Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th films using a handy-dandy tier maker. I did think about doing a big 6 tier list, which is Halloween, Elm Street, Friday the 13th, as well as Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Scream, and Chucky. But I haven't seen all of the Texas Chainsaw films. Seen all the others, but Texas Chainsaw I've only seen a handful, so that wouldn't really work. So I thought I'd stick to the big 3, Michael, Freddy, Jason. It's the big 3 slasher franchises, the most iconic. And I thought I'd rank them on this tier maker. I found this one on the internet, so it's not a template I've made myself, but, you know, it's got everything here. This is my own personal opinion. Some of my opinions are going to be very controversial. Spoiler alert, there is one of these franchises that I don't exactly value as highly as the other two, and I think if you know me, you'll know which one I think is a lot lesser than the other two, but you know, we'll get there. There's over 30 films to rank and to talk about here, so let's not waste any time, let's get into it. Because I want to end this video on a positive note, I want to kind of get most of the negativity out the way, we're going to start off with the Friday the 13th series. Oh boy. So here we go, some of these are in a bit of a random order, but Friday the 13th, 1980, Sean S. Cunningham, it's going in C tier. But it's the original, I hear you cry. Yeah, well, it doesn't make it good though, does it? Admittedly, I am probably a bit biased here because I watched the original for the first time directly after watching Halloween for the first time. And when you do that, you kind of realise that actually, yeah, the original Friday the 13th is a Halloween ripoff in so many ways. This one does get points for just being the original, just being the first one, and you know, the Mrs. Voorhees twist is effective, admittedly, once you watch it for the first time, but it's actually a pretty bad whodunit when you kind of actually take stock of what the film is showing you. Like I say, there are bonus points for it being the original, but it's really, there's nothing to it, in my opinion. Friday the 13th Part 2, again, C, but it's like, it's the same as the original. These first 4 films, I've got to say, are really difficult for me to distinguish because they're so similar. They are an exercise in making the same film over and over and over again. And Friday the 13th Part 2, it's unique in that it has Sackhead Jason, and, you know, that's a cool look. It's obviously the first one to feature Jason as the killer. I will just adjust this position slightly because I do actually think it's better than the original, so I'm going to put it just above the original there. But, I mean, it's really similar. It's difficult for me to discern. But, you know, Sackhead Jason's cool. I like the ending. I like the opening. Ginny is a pretty cool final girl, but there's not much to it. Friday the 13th Part 3, D tier. Yeah, this one is quite controversial because people seem to love this one. It's obviously quite iconic. It's the first one where Jason has his hockey mask, so it's, you know, it gets all the iconography is pretty much there, but again, it's the same fucking shit as parts 1 and 2, except now we're in 3D. So the entire film looks like shit, and it's just got these weird, annoying bits where they, you know, pop out of the camera at you, and it looks absolutely ridiculous if you're watching it in 2D. But I laugh every time when when the stoner gives you the joint, and the joint is like poking out of the screen. It's so ridiculous, but yeah. This one I really don't remember much about. It's so generic, but yeah, so D tier for me. It's really not... I'm sorry, Friday the 13th fans. I don't get it. I really don't get why the franchise is so popular, but oh well. This one hurts. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. D or C? This is so... okay, I'm going to put it in C. I think it's the best of the first 4. This one hurts though because this was hyped up to me as like the best one, not just of the first 4, but of the entire franchise, and I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's just the same thing again. You know, this time we've got Corey Feldman into it, and Tommy Jarvis is a cool character. Ted White is a pretty great Jason, you know, it must be said. It's certainly got a bit more energy to it than parts 1 to 3. There's a little bit more like... It does feel like they're trying to do something this time, trying to make it an actual film, which is refreshing, but... Man, I went into this expecting, like, this would be the one where I'm like, okay, finally, I get it, you know. But unfortunately not. It's just the same thing again. Sorry, Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. You know what? B. I can feel the hate coming towards me as we speak. Friday the 13th Part 5 is, to me, it's an awful film, but it's at least something different. It's trying to do something different. It's got so much more personality to it than the first 4. You've got characters like Ethel, who is a fucking hilarious mess of a character, but she's so funny. Or Demon, you know. These characters have so much more personality than anything in the first 4 films. Jason's not the killer. And it's a hulking guy in a hockey mask slaughtering people, which is what the first, well, not the first one, but, you know, 2, 3, and 4 were. Yeah, it's not Jason, but it's the same end result. It doesn't affect anything but the ending. I think the kind of the halfway house setting is pretty cool. It's just, you know, this is memorable. It's awful, but it's got so much more personality to it. I understand that the set was just a mess. It was just a very dodgy set, but I mean, I feel like everyone was just coked out of their mind on this film, and it kind of shows. But hey, it's fun. Friday the 13th Part 6, often considered the best of the series, and yeah, it's absolutely... I mean, it's not my favourite, but it's my second favourite. This one's good. This one's solid. This one is the one where I'm like, okay, yeah, they got this one. This is good. This is entertaining. Jason Lives is, you know, it's not a masterpiece. None of these films are. You know, it has a bit of self-awareness to it. It kind of knows what it is. It knows what it's doing. It's really fun. It's meta. It's got good performances. It's got good writing. It's got a great theme song. Alice Cooper, he's back. It's really fun. It's not, like I said, I'm not like in love with it like some people are, but I can absolutely see why it's the favourite. It's good. It's the best one so far. Part 7, The New Blood. I actually enjoyed this one. Yeah, I'll put it, just below Part 6, above Part 5, but it's still in B tier. I actually didn't mind this one. I kind of went into it expecting to be another generic one, because it's, you know, back at Crystal Lake, and it's back with the horny teens and everything. But I think adding that kind of Jason versus Carrie twist to it with Tina, the telekinetic teenager, the final girl, she's pretty cool. I quite liked her character. I enjoyed the cast in this in general. It's a shame that the kills are kind of so hacked up, because this is where the MPAA really came in hard, but you know, I enjoyed this one. This was good. It's not like super memorable, but it's a solid piece of work. So yeah, I enjoyed Part 7, which is more than can be said for Part 8. Oh god, is it F or just bottom of D? I'm gonna put it in F. It's a high F, but it's like it's still an F. It's still shit. Yeah, you know, Jason Takes Manhattan is not Jason Takes Manhattan. It's Jason Takes a Boat to Manhattan, as many have said before. Oh, this was just dire to get through. I really struggle with this one. This was it's just shit. It's so bad. They're not even trying on this one. All right, it's doing something different. It's taking Jason out of Crystal Lake, but it's just awful. It's so long as well. It's like an hour and 45, when most of these like clock in hour and 20, hour and 30. Hour and 45 is way too long. Yeah, this was a struggle to get through. This was so boring and shit, and the ending was the swamp Jason in the river, in the sewer, sorry. It's just awful. This one, this is bottom of the barrel for the franchise. It's no wonder that Paramount kind of decided to just call it quits after this one. So then New Line Cinema take over, and we get Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Struggling whether to put this one at the top of D or the bottom of C. I think top of D for now. I think it's better than Part 3, which is so controversial, but yeah, it's a mess. Jason Goes to Hell is not very good. It is a messy film, but again, it's doing something different, which I kind of enjoyed. Like, I didn't hate the experience of watching it. Some of it's really boring, but it's yeah, like I said, it's not as bad as some of the other installments for sure. This one wasn't as bad. The Necronomicon's in it for some reason from Evil Dead, which is weird. You know, Adam Marcus really wanted to make an Evil Dead crossover, so he just puts the Necronomicon in it. Yeah, Jason like possessing people. It's different. It's not great, obviously. It's a pretty awful film, but you got characters like Creighton Duke, who keeps it interesting. It's not as memorable as, you know, the ones above it, but it's okay. I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. Jason X. Ooh, is it gonna go in A, or is it gonna go top of B? A. Okay, no, top of B. But Jason X is my favourite of the franchise. Which I know, it's ridiculous, right? Because it's the one where Jason goes to space. It's not very popular. It's quite hated by the fans, but this one knows exactly what it is. It's leaning into it. I enjoyed watching the characters in this one. Like, this is the one where I'm like, yeah, I remember these characters. I remember Kinza and Janessa and KM. And Captain Lowe and Brodsky and Rowan is a great final girl. These are great characters. And it's a fun film. Like, I love the snarky dialogue. I know people hate it, but I love all that snark. The characters are very funny to me. It knows exactly what it is. It's Jason in space, for God's sake. But it's by far the most fun I had watching any of these films. Absolutely my favourite of the series. I wanted more of this in the series, to be honest, because yeah, this was fun. The cryogenic kill, the liquid nitrogen kill, where he shoves her in liquid nitrogen and then smashes her head on the thing. It's great. This is fun. I don't care. This is fun. Freddy versus Jason. Yeah, fuck it. This is gonna go in B as well, I think. Freddy vs. Jason, I watched this the other day. Freddy vs. Jason is so stupid. It's so silly. But it knows exactly what it is. Again, like, this is exactly what it says on the tin. It's Freddy and Jason having a big old fight. And it's great. Like, you know, it's got enough. I like the stylistic direction, the kind of Ronnie Yu bathing everything in like reds and greens and blues. You know, it's really cool to look at. It's a great kind of blend between the fantasy stuff of the Nightmare on Elm Street films and the basic slasher of the Friday the 13th films. It's kind of a great mix between the two, and I really enjoyed that. It's not, again, like, the characters are pretty shocking in this, like, it must be said, but yeah, it's fun. Like, it's Freddy versus Jason. What more could you want? This one, I do enjoy. And then lastly, Friday the 13th, the 2009 remake. I'm going to go put that in B as well. Probably below Freddy versus Jason for the entertainment factor. But, yeah, I think this is better than the original. It's better than the first four for me. Because Friday the 13th, 2009 is a hodgepodge. It's a greatest hits collection of the first four. It's trying to be the first four, but it cuts out all the faff. It does like the Lost Sister plotline from part 4. So much better in this. It's so much better. It's it just nails everything down. Everything that worked in those first 4, it's got hindsight to go, right, yeah, this is what worked. We're going to use that. And then it just trims out all the faff. All the fucking boring like nonsense that's in those first 4. Not here. It gets to what you want almost immediately. I love like the first 25 minutes are like their own self-contained slasher film, and then you just move on to the main plot. That's really cool. I'm probably giving the film too much credit because it does run into all the familiar traps that this series faces. And God, the nudity in this is like, oh my God, it's so fun. That one sex scene between Bree and Trent is. I could not believe what I was fucking watching when I watched that. It's so ridiculous. It is like something out of a porno, but it's so fucking stupid. But the whole film, you know, it's probably got my favourite version of Jason of the whole series. He's a fucking brute in this, and it's great to watch. It's really fun. Yeah, better than the first 4. Doesn't quite reach the heights of 6 or Jason X for me. Or Freddy vs. Jason, but, you know, this is solid, and I think it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be when I sat down to watch it, being a remake, so, yeah. Okay, now we're going to move on to my absolute favourite of the slasher franchises, A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's, I'm going to be very positive on this franchise, because this one, Nightmare on Elm Street is, for me, the most creative of them all. I love the concept of it. Freddy, I love how he can taunt his victims. I love the whole franchise, even when it's shite. And there's a lot of shite, but there's so much good here. So, Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984, S tier for sure. Nightmare on Elm Street, I actually think it's almost like weird to say, but it's almost underrated. Like, I know people love it, and it's talked about as this quintessential horror film, but it is such an effective like execution of an original horror premise, and I don't think it gets enough credit for that. Like, even the little things, like you never quite know when you're dreaming. I love the little details, like when Tina runs and she doesn't really go anywhere, because in dreams that does happen. You kind of run, but you're actually not moving, you're just kind of running on the spot. It's so effectively done. When Nancy's feet get stuck in the stairs as well, and it's just gooey and like she can't move anywhere. that's what happens in dreams and in nightmares especially. It's such an effective concept. Some of the best scenes in all of horror, the rotating sets for Tina's death. I really can't say enough about it. I love A Nightmare on Elm Street. It is so good, and it's just terrific. Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, controversial. High B, I think. Best of B so far, I think. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is very flawed, and when I first watched it, I didn't really like it, but as the years have passed, I have really mellowed on it, and I really like this film now. For one thing, I think it's the darkest, scariest, best look of Freddy. I love the sunken in eyes, I love the red contact lenses. Freddy looks like an actual demon in this, and that's great. It's so good. I love the kills in it. I love when he reveals his brain to Jesse. And you know, the film is really entertaining. Of course, you can't talk about this film without talking about the gay stuff. It's the gayest horror film ever made, some might say. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to spend too long on it because, like, I'm not gay myself. I don't really feel like I have the right to talk about it. But it's so gay. The whole film is I don't know. It's hilarious to me that they tried to hide it for so many years. But you know, it gives it a different flavour, and there's a lot to talk about there from an analytical standpoint. So I think it has a lot of merit. I do think it's like the black sheep of the franchise because it's ignored by all the other sequels, and it's not great, but I really like it, and it's kind of gotten better on repeat viewings for me. So yeah. Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, A tier. I don't think it reaches the heights of the original. I know a lot of people say it's better, but I don't think it reaches those heights, but it is absolutely a fantastic film. Dream Warriors is a great sequel to the original, obviously skips over part 2. Bringing Nancy back into the fold and maturing her is a wonderful element for the story. Having these kids in the hospital, like, they forge a great bond together, and the characters in this one are so good. I love watching them, and I'm really sad when they get killed every time. This is where the series sort of starts to take a turn into horror fantasy rather than pure horror, and it's all the better for it. I love all the dream powers. All of that is so entertaining. Yeah, this one feels like a finale of the series, which is weird because it's the third one of a 9-film franchise. It is 9, isn't it? Yeah, 9, including Freddy vs. Jason, so I guess 8. But you know, but it's great. It's a really great tale. Dream Warriors. It gets better every time I see it. It's a great film. Dream Master. I'm gonna put it in bottom of B. Actually, no, I think it's better than Friday 5 and Friday 7. Yeah, it's gonna go like sort of mid tier, B. So it's the lower end of B. But Dream Master is like it's frustrating. is the best way to say it. This is like peak Freddy popularity. Dream Master is entertaining. It's very entertaining. I love the kills in it. I love the one-liners. How's this for a wet dream? You know, it's great. But you know, the way it brings Freddy back is very lazy. I don't like that it kills the remaining Dream Warriors instantly. Some of it actually bores me, which is funny. I like the middle section of the film really drags for me. But you know, Dream Master, it's certainly better than a lot of others we've seen on this list so far. I like it. It's okay. It's just not my favourite, which I know a lot of people would put it nearer the top. It's not a bad film by any means, but it's not one that I kind of rush to rewatch. But you know, it's decent. Nightmare on Elm Street 5, I think it's top of C. I think it's better than Friday 4, but this is where the series is kind of losing steam a little bit, which is a shame. But the director, Stephen Hopkins, I think it's a very gothic film. I like a lot of the visual style. It's a shame that so many of the kills are kind of cut to ribbons by the MPAA, and you can't really see them properly in most versions today, which, you know, it's a big shame. Mostly this one is just kind of boring. It's just kind of a retread of part 4, which is a shame. The good thing about the Nightmare on Elm Street series is that even in the weaker films, it's still so creative, and you always get these creative dream sequences. That's why it's my favourite of the 3, because you never quite know what you're going to get in each film, and each film is so distinct, whereas the others films kind of blend into one. Yeah, Nightmare 5 definitely isn't a bad film, but it's not one I rush to rewatch, and it's a shame to see it retreading so many elements. But Alice is still great. Alice Johnson's a great character, and I really like her in 4 and 5. Yeah, not one of the series' strong points, but, you know, not bad. Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Again, this one's going to be controversial. I'm going to put it ahead of part 4, ahead of the Friday remake, Is it better? No, okay, it's mid B. I'm gonna put it there, I think. But you know what? Freddy's Dead is seriously underrated for me. It's awful, but it's so entertaining. I love the Carlos kill. Carlos's death is one of the highlights of the series. It is. Oh, it's so good. Like the hearing aid thing, where Freddy's in the back taunting him and nails down the chalkboard. It's brilliant. It's so good. It's obviously where the series just takes a step into full-on parody of itself. But you know what? I was never bored. Like, it makes a nice change of pace from the Dream trilogy of 3, 4, and 5. 3, 4, and 5 are very similar to each other, just in the aesthetics and the characters and everything. It's nice that Freddy's Dead is a kind of change of pace. Freddy's Dead is very different from those films. And, yeah, you know, alright, this is, like, it's one of those films that I've never seen anybody put it higher than, like, bottom 3. So I'm quite, like, this is rare. I think you'll find on the internet for someone who actually likes Freddy's Dead, but I have a lot of fun with it. Like I said, it's not great, but it's entertaining. It's very entertaining, and I think it's a nice change of pace after 4 and 5, which were kind of starting to get a little bit stale. Freddy's Dead is a nice little change of pace for me, so I like it. What can I say? And I really like Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which goes straight into A for me. Maybe not. Yeah, it's not quite as good as Dream Warriors, but New Nightmare is. Oh, this film's so good. This film is so good. It's so... I love the kind of meta approach. It is absolutely Wes Craven trialing out the meta approach before he would make Scream, which obviously changed the genre and everything. I love New Nightmare. New Nightmare is so good. Heather Langenkamp is incredible in this film. This is her best performance in the franchise. I think she sells it. I love the actor who plays her kid. He's really good in it. Miko Hughes is he sells it. This is one of my favourite versions of Freddy. I love the trench coat look. It's so sinister. It's such a unique film, and every time I watch it, I'm just really bowled over by it. Like, I have a new appreciation for it every time I watch it, and I think it's so creative, and again, really quite underrated. This one, it gets a lot of love, but maybe not quite as much as it deserves. I think it's a really great film, and yeah, of the Nancy trilogy, it's certainly a standout. I really love New Nightmare. And the franchise doesn't end on a very good streak, unfortunately, because the Nightmare on Elm Street remake goes straight into F. I detest this film. I'm going to put Jason Take Manhattan over it. This is my least favourite so far. It's such a shame that the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise ends on such a bum note, because there's no Elm Street film here that goes below a D. Apart from the remake, which is just, it's the worst kind of remake that studios were pumping out in the 2010s and the 2000s. It's so, when it's not just recreating scenes from the original, it's boring. It's so boring. I think Rooney Mara as Nancy is terrible. I love Rooney Mara as an actress, but like this performance is just, it's so... Like, compare it to how great Heather Langenkamp is as Nancy. Like, she's probably my favourite final girl. It's like her or Sydney from Scream. It's an insult to her performance. She's so bad in this. She's just, like, lifeless performance. Like, dead behind the eyes. Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy is... You know, he does his best. He's never the problem. I think if he was in a great film, he'd be like, yeah, he's a great Freddy. It's just... Robert Englund could always elevate even the worst of the original series. Jackie Earle Haley doesn't really do that, and it's a shame. I do defend his Freddy though, because a lot of people rag on him, but I go to bat for his Freddy. He's doing something different, and I really like what he's doing. He's just in a really shit film. It's just like badly recreated scenes from the original. The micronaps thing is a great idea, but it would have been a great idea to use in the original series, but in this film it's just... wasted. I hate the explicitly making Freddy a paedophile. It's very heavily implied in the original, but like I like that it's never said. It's just sort of, oh, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. This film just makes him a nonce, and it's just uncomfortable. And yeah, I really hate this remake. This is awful. This yeah, I can't see myself ever revisiting it. I've only seen it the once, and maybe one day I'll come around on it, but for now, it's absolutely my least favourite Elm Street film. Alright, well, we're finishing off with the Halloween series, the arguably the quintessential slasher series, the grandfather of the slashers. And we're going to start off with John Carpenter's masterpiece, Halloween. I mean, of course, it's going in S. It's arguably the greatest slasher film ever made. Pure suspense. atmosphere you can chew on. I did a video last year about kind of just the atmosphere of the film and how much I love how it portrays just Halloween night. It's so much fun to watch every year on Halloween. What else can you say about the original Halloween that hasn't been said? It is a near perfect film, and every time I watch it, my appreciation for it just goes higher and higher. The first time I watched it, it absolutely terrified me. I think it's a masterpiece. I think everyone does. I have never seen any Halloween ranking that doesn't put it at the top. It's the best. It's just the best of all of these films. It is the absolute best. I adore the original Halloween. Halloween 2, top of B, I think. Top of B. Halloween 2 is a solid sequel. It is absolutely best viewed in a double bill with the original. That's the best way to watch Halloween 2, and I think it's the best way to get the most out of it. But you know, this is still, for the most part, the same team as the original, so you get the atmosphere, you get the gorgeous cinematography from Dean Cundey. I love the way Halloween 2 looks. One of my favourite openings to any film ever, with the recap of part 1, and then, you don't know what death is. Oh, so good. I love that opening so much. It's a shame that Laurie gets so shafted. She just gets shoved in a hospital bed for the whole film with nothing to do. Jamie Lee Curtis is wearing a terrible wig throughout it. I hate the brother and sister twist. It's such a shame. Like, the brother and sister twist is such a mistake, and it really affects the whole franchise pretty much up until 2018 when they decided to retcon it. Like, every other film gets bogged down in that fucking brother and sister twist, and it sucks. Like, it's an awful cliche twist. I think it takes the mystery out of Michael, takes the fear out of Michael. It's such a shame, and it's such a shame that it made that big misstep this early on, and the whole series just gets bogged down from that point on. Really, it's it kind of can't be helped. But aside from that, and aside from a few nitpicks, Halloween 2 is a great ride. I really enjoy watching it again, like directly after the original. There's some great moments in it. I love the theme. I love the music. Yeah, Halloween 2 is great. It just doesn't, because of that twist, it doesn't quite break into the A or S tier for me, but it's a really solid sequel. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I've really come around on this the last couple of years. I'm going to put it... Okay, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put it below Jason X and Nightmare 2, but above Friday 6, Freddy vs. Jason, Freddy's Dead. Halloween 3 is... Obviously, it's the one with, like, Michael Myers in it. It's the most different that the series ever gets. And when I first watched it, I really find it so boring. But I think in subsequent viewings, I've seen it about 3 times now. Subsequent viewings, it's got a lot better when I kind of, like, go into it knowing what you're going to get. Again, I love the atmosphere to it. I love the cinematography. It helps, again, that it's the same team from the first 2 coming aboard to do it, because it just means you get that gorgeous cinematography, and just the gorgeous look to it. And oh god, the music's so good in this. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess, and it does sort of shit itself at the end. But yeah, it's cool. I like Halloween 3 is a very easy watch for me now. It never used to be, but I can just kind of shove this on in the background and just it gives me those Halloween atmosphere vibes, and I like it. Like I said, it is a bit of a mess, but it's got some really good stuff going to it, and I'm glad it's better loved these days. It's quite funny because I'm not surprised anymore when I see Halloween 3 placed high up. I see a lot of rankings and people are like, Halloween 3, controversially, but I love it. And it's almost like it's not controversial anymore. Like, Halloween 3 is just loved now, whereas obviously it used to be really hated. So, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty good. I like it. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. I don't really get it. I've got to say, like, this kind of pains me to say, but I don't really get it. I think it's maybe bottom of B. Fuck it. Yeah, I'm going bottom of B. That seems really harsh. I know it's going to sound harsh to a lot of people, but I just think Halloween 4 is so boring. I think it's not a bad film by any means. Like, there's a lot going for it. I love Rachel. I love Jamie. I love their relationship. Daniel Harris is really great as Jamie. Loomis is great as always. I love the atmosphere. The opening titles are great, but the cinematography takes a massive downgrade. It looks like a made-for-TV film. It's such a shame. Like, if this had Dean Cundey shooting it, it might have been better, but it just looks so bland, and It just lacks so much of that atmosphere that the first three had. And yeah, it's just very derivative and not especially interesting to me. Like I said, I like a lot in it. The ending is fantastic. Like, oh god, that ending's so good. And yeah, like it's cool, but I don't. Every time I watch it, I just find myself thinking, I wish I got out of this what other people seem to. Which is a shame, but, you know, it's okay. Halloween 5! D. But is it better than Part 3? Jason Goes to Hell? I think it is. Yeah, I'm going to put it above Jason Goes to Hell. It's top of D, but, yeah, Halloween 5 is not good. I've been reading the excellent book Taking Shape recently, which is, like, behind the scenes of the franchise, and I just finished reading the Halloween 5 section, and you know, Dominique Othem-Girard had great ideas, but I just think they were misplaced. And yeah, I think he really thinks his ideas are cleverer than they actually are, which is a huge shame. It strikes me just reading that book that I just get the sense that he's a bit of a pretentious twat, which is a shame. Like, he's got a lot of passion to him, and, like, you know, it's fair enough. But oh god, yeah, Halloween 5 is such a misfire. I hate what they do to Rachel. Like, it pisses me off how they treat Rachel's character in this. The Myers heist is a massive misstep. It's a retread of the others. It's so boring. It's the clown cops. Ugh, it's horrible. Halloween 5 is really bad. I'm not a fan of this one at all. So it's going in D. But yeah, it sucks. Like, they had a great ending with Halloween 4, and they could have done so much with it, and they just piss away that potential. But c'est la vie. Halloween 6, the theatrical cut. This has got 2 entries for the 2 versions, so I'm going to rank the theatrical cut first. I think it's the best of the Thorn trilogy, and that's controversial, so I'm going to put the theatrical cut above Friday 5. Not quite as good as Friday 7 for me, but it's the theatrical cut there. Both versions of this film are compromised. Like, there's no way of getting a definitive version of this because it was never filmed. So the whole film's a mess. The editing is atrocious, but it's got a bit of the atmosphere back, and it's got, like, I really like how Michael's shot in this. Obviously, the theatrical cut has gorier kills, which are cool, but I just don't think they're necessary. They're quite out of place. I hate the music video transitions. I hate the music. The ending is just nonsense. It's absolutely baffling. But it's entertaining. I was never bored during Halloween 6, theatrical cut. It's you know, it is what it is. I think it's the best of the Thorn trilogy because it actually kind of commits to what it's doing. It's nonsense, but it commits to it. Which is why I think the producer's cut is even better. And I'm going to put it above... Friday 7. Okay, no, it's not as good as Elm Street 4, but I'm going to put it above Friday 7. It's the story-wise, I think it's worse, but it actually commits to what it's doing, which is why it's above the theatrical cut to me, and it doesn't feel like it's hacked up as much as that. The editing is so much better. You've got the John Carpenter music back. It's not just pointless rock music over the soundtrack. I hate the Michael fathering Jamie's child thing. That's awful. They were right to cut that in theatrical, but overall, I think the producer's cut is a lot better. But yeah, I think 6 is the best Thorn trilogy, which, you fucking sue me. But it's entertaining. It's a fascinating mess of a film. It's like on the level of Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League, where it's just fascinating to compare the 2 versions. But yeah, I think the producer's cut is better. Oh, Halloween H2O, I wish I liked you. I wish I liked you like other people seem to like you. Bottom of C... Well... Oh, where do I put this? This sucks. Okay, it's better than Part 6. I actually might enjoy Part 6 more, but it's better than Part 6. I'll put it there. That's being quite generous towards it. H2O is such a mixed bag for me because it's got all the right ingredients to be a great sequel to the original 2. But unfortunately, it's just... It falls into that trap of... it's a Scream clone, for one. And the Halloween series should never be a Scream clone. I hate the way it's shot. I hate the way it's scored. It works for Scream. It doesn't work for Halloween H2O. Jamie Lee Curtis is great as always. I love her. She's brilliant in all of these. But it's just the film... I feel like this story is really, really good. And I can see why some people think it's better than 2018. But it's just the way it's executed. Like the way it's shot. I really hate how Michael looks. He's too skinny. It's nothing against Chris Duran, the actor who plays him. I just think he was the wrong choice. The mask is awful. I hate the frizzy hair. It's just there's things in it that just I can't quite get over, so it doesn't become the definitive sequel for me like it is for a lot of people. But you know, it's all right. It's just not as good as I think it's made out to be for me. But you know, Halloween Resurrection, instant F, bottom of the barrel. None of the other slasher franchises have stooped this low. This is one of the worst horror films I've ever seen. I can't stand it. It's I get that it's doing something different and it knows what it is, but fuck me, it's such a chore to sit through. I never want to watch it again. It's a piece of shit. I hate it. Katie Sackhoff is really cute in it though, but other than that, I hate it. The Rob Zombie films, these are going to be interesting. I have some interesting thoughts on these. Rob Zombie's Halloween 1, not as much of a fan of this as some. I don't hate it either. I think it's better than Actually, no, I don't think it is better than H2O. Okay, I'm gonna put it here. It's in between Halloween 6 and H2O. Rob Zombie's Halloween, for the first half, it's doing its own thing, and it's a vision that isn't for me. Like, I don't want to see Michael's abusive childhood, but it's a vision that is entirely its own. It's doing something completely different, and I'm kind of on board with it. Second half, it just does do a remake of the original, and I'm like, well, why am I watching this? It's just a remake of the original, but with way more nudity and way more gore, and it's just like, ugh. I kind of wish they'd stuck to their guns with the first half. So I'm not really a fan of the first one. Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Yep. Top 5 of the series easily for me. I love Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Don't get me wrong, there's still points in it that I don't enjoy, like the vision still isn't entirely for me. It's still very mean-spirited. I can't stand the dialogue where the bloody the ambulance drivers are talking about having sex with the corpses. Awful. But you know what makes this film great is the sad, fucking tragic downfall of Laurie Strode. I think Halloween 2, the 2009 version, is so underappreciated in this regard. It is heartbreaking. It is an unrelenting, open wound of a film. It's a tragic, heartbreaking, emotional downward spiral for Laurie Strode. Scout Taylor Compton is incredible in this. I don't think she gets enough credit for her performance because she's so good in it. She's heartbreaking and tragic, and I got the chance to meet her the other day at a convention, and I spoke with her a bit about the franchise in general. Bloody lovely. She's an absolute delight. If you ever get a chance to meet Scout Taylor Compton at a convention, please do. She's one of the nicest people I've ever met at one of these things. And it was great to be able to kind of tell her how much I enjoy her performance in this, because she is just so good in it. Brad Dourif as Brackett, heartbreaking. The White Horse stuff, I don't really get, but I just think it adds to the atmosphere. I just adore the tragedy of this film. It's so heartbreaking, it's so sad. I think it's got so much on its mind. Really kind of brings me to tears, actually. The ending with Love Hurts playing in the director's cut. Ugh. Yeah, this is one of my favourites of the series. I think it's so underappreciated. I'm glad that it's getting a lot more love now. I adore Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I think it's so underappreciated. Which is, like, I'm not a big fan of his first one, but the second one, oh, brilliant. I don't think it's quite as good as the original Halloween 2 because it doesn't have the atmosphere, but I love Halloween 2 so much. Halloween 2018, definitely the best sequel to the original. This is going to go in A, probably lower tier A though. There are certain things in this that I don't enjoy. The Sartain twist is utter nonsense, but oh god, the atmosphere is so good. I watched it again in prep for Halloween Ends. It's probably the most I've ever enjoyed it. I think it's so well done. It's a great film. There are certain things in it that I don't love, but Halloween 2018, definitely the best sequel to the original. Halloween Kills is a special film to me, and I'm going to put it in A tier as well. I'm just going to put it below 2018. Halloween Kills is special to me because it was the first one that I was anticipating when it came out. I went to the cinema dressed as Michael Myers to see it, and that was a great experience. It's flawed, it's messy, it's ridiculous, but it's fun. It's really good fun. It's utter nonsense at points, but I really like it. And like I said, maybe I'm biased because it is a special film to me, but you know, it's cool. And so we're here. Halloween Ends. What do I think of it? The big controversy. I like it a lot. I think it's, it's not as good as Halloween 3, but it's mid-B. I like Halloween Ends a lot. It's different, but it's surprisingly, character-driven and emotional. I love the ending to this. I absolutely love the final shots with Don't Fear the Reaper mirroring the ending of the original. I can see why it's so divisive. It's certainly the most different film in the series since Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which I love. Corey, I really liked as a character. I thought it was great and subversive to, we'd had 2 films of just pure Michael Myers action. I liked that we got something different. So I really liked Halloween Ends. Sue me. This wasn't bad. There are certain things that I don't love in it, but yeah, I like the film. Sue me. So there we go. That's my ranking of every Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween film in this tier list. Yeah, tell me what you think. I understand my opinions. Some of it's going to be quite controversial, especially the Friday fans. I'm sorry. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 being so high up, I think is going to piss people off, but it's like one of my favourites of the series. I absolutely love it. Halloween 4 being so low is probably going to piss people off, but you know what? It's fun. I hope you have a great Halloween. Please let me know what you think below about these choices and comment kind of what your thoughts on the films are. It'd be really interesting to hear from you guys. These films are so diverse and wild, yet kind of nuts at points, but that's what's fun about ranking them, because you won't find a ranking that's the same. So yeah, comment below, let me know. Have a happy Halloween, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Take care now.